Hey folks, lack of response here. We are rounding out this case of good, bad, and weird knives with something particularly interesting. The Poikilo blade and Mundus knives Al-khem. Let's sit down and talk about it. Alright, so here we are talking about the Poikilo and Mundus knives Al-khem. This one is in the dark stonewash, acid wash, whatever finish. I forget what they called it. This is not the fancy full dress version in the Mokutai. This one looks more like something from, like, I don't know, Dune maybe is what I've heard some people say. I agree with that assessment. We're going to talk about the good. We're going to do some measurements and size comparisons and talk about the good, the bad, and the weird. The good being things that that I really like about it. The bad being things that could be better. And the weird just being the most unusual features that made it eye-catching. Let's start with measurements. Closed length. About 6 inches. Not too big, not too small. Thickness. It's a thick boy. Open length. Yeah, it is a dagger, but that edge is not sharp. That edge is not sharp either. I feel like the only part of this knife that's actually sharp enough to cut is the tip. We'll talk about that in a minute. Let's get some measurements. About 10 inches opened, 4 and change on blade length. These parts feel kind of sharp too, actually. As for blade width, what are we looking at? At the thickest point here, we're looking at about 2 and change. 1 inch and change on the blade. Or, if you pinch and twist these little adjustable knobs on the pivot, the blade comes out much wider. We are going to talk about that. So yeah, the blade basically doubles in width. Because as you can see these sides fold outwards. See if we can kind of demonstrate how that works. There we go. Okay. Size comparisons. Well, nobody else has an expanding blade, so let's twist it back the other way so we get a normal looking blade. Size comparison. World's most boring knife number 1. World's slightly less boring knife number 2. Is bigger. Size comparisons against some other ridiculous fun things we've looked at so far in this series. Max Ace Vortex. Smaller than a Max Ace Vortex. Not saying much there. Midgard's Messer Big Boss. It's not the Big Boss. And just for some added enjoyment, let's size compare to some other Poikilo designs, because may as well go for apples to apples as best we can. That is the Poikilo Cyberkuza. And here's my other Poikilo, the large prism. So in this dimension, these two dimensions, comparable to the Cyberkuza. In that dimension, way more. Let's move these guys aside. Now we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the weird of this knife. The good. This is not an EDC knife, so I can't really talk about its practicality. This is more of a kinetic art piece with some slightly sharp, slightly pointy bits. And so I'm just going to be talking about it as a cool, fun object to have in your knife collection rather than as a knife. But good. That noise. If we can see inside there, if I grab a little flashlight, it might help us. If I lower the brightness on that little flashlight, it might help us more. I don't know if we can see in there, but there's little tuning forks inside the scales. And that's how it makes that noise. That noise is cool. Poikilo does that a bunch. Mundus does it a bunch. It's kind of cool. It's really fun. Also good, you have two options on the blade, even though there's only one blade. If you twist if you push in and twist this little pivot collar, the blade comes out wider. That is very interesting. That's the eye-catching thing. That's weird, because you don't see a lot of other knives that do that. I honestly don't think I've seen any. And it's good because it's what makes this knife so fun and interesting. Let's look at some other good things. If you look at this handle, can you hear that? Texturing. Look at all the detail work on that spine. Look at that. It's all segmented. It's like it's a bunch of little pieces rather than one long backspacer. It's got many little screws that make the mechanism work. From what I've seen looking around, there's about 100 pieces inside this little area that make this mechanism work. And that leads us into the bad. Sometimes this little locking mechanism here, I don't know what they call it. It seems like a button lock, but it's on the spine. You might liken it to the shark lock or something like that. Notice it does kind of kick the blade out a little when you do that. Sometimes when you try to close it, you get a little bit of lock stick. That's my only real gripe. But for something this fancy, I stand that, and I do not really mind. I just notice the weird. This whole thing is weird. Look at this thing. It's shaped like a pizza cutter. It's got a blade that changes shape. The whole thing is weird. It is joyfully weird. I'm so glad I bought this knife. This is like one of the prizes in my collection. I love it. It's craziness. It looks like something from a sci-fi movie. It's delightful. And this wraps up the good, the bad, and the weird of the overbuilt knife box. Stay tuned. We're going to get into the next knife case going forward. Thanks for your time. Have a good one.